Lootin' and scootin', boys. Lootin' and scootin'. This sounds like a very unnecessary subject to make a video about. Everyone knows how to loot, right? Why make a video about it? Well, there are actually a lot of points to make about your inventory, how you loot dead bodies and houses, and how to do it quickly and effectively. First things first, we've talked about looting order before, but it's a good idea to go over it again. The first thing you always want to try to get is a weapon of any kind, especially if you're dropping with other enemies or teams around you. Even just a pistol is a first priority. Great example, I drop in school, grab a 9mm pistol, and proceed to clear school out, getting 4 kills. Because the first thing I picked up was a pistol, I now have all of school's loot to myself. The next thing you get in order tends to be a helmet, to prevent you from being one-tapped. A vest, to give you more combat fighting ability, and a backpack, of course, to hold all your loot. Of course, it doesn't have to be in that exact order. Getting whatever you want or whatever you can whenever it comes up is important, but those 4 items in particular are going to be the best items for you to get to start with. Now, once you've got some gear and you're rolling around killing other people, a few things you need to keep in mind about your loot early to mid game and even late game in some situations, depending on how you've looted early game. You will always need some things. More meds, more ammo, attachments, whatever it may be, you need to know what you have in your inventory and what you need.
Don't know what you're talking about.
This way you don't spend a minute or more looting houses, looting bodies, or anything else. If you've already got an assault rifle, unless you're going to pick up what tends to be your favorite assault rifle, then there's no real reason to switch out assault rifles between somebody else unless they have a staggering amount more of ammo. Or unless it can be better equipped, or it's something like an AWM, an M24, or an M249, or a Vector. Switching entire weapon sets and attachments can take a long amount of time, so unless you're extremely safe, you probably just need to grab ammo and keep moving with what you've got. Being mobile, constantly aware, and able to shoot are your top priorities, so if you're having to stop for a minute and switch out an entire set of weapons and ammo types and attachments, you're going to have some downtime there which you're vulnerable. So, know what you need, that way you aren't spending 5 minutes standing on a body as an easy target. This also applies to looting houses. Now, generally when looting a house, clear the house first. Check all the corners, open all the doors. The last thing you want is to be looting and suddenly get shot in the back of the head. On the flip side of that, if someone else is entering a house and they don't know you're there yet, keep it that way as long as possible, and when you have the chance, don't miss your shots. Like I did. But always clear houses before looting. Eventually you'll get into a rhythm of how you loot a particular house, and it becomes a pattern for you that you can repeat fairly quickly, and you get fairly optimized at it. These kinds of tips on looting, keeping a running tally of what you need, such as weapon attachments, what meds, what ammo, will allow you to loot corpses and houses far more quickly and be able to move on to the next objective. This is particularly valuable in the late game, when looting someone in the late game tends to be your most vulnerable time. This is one of those things that's very much a time optimization issue. And you may be asking, why optimize time? Well, if you think about it, you are literally racing against a clock. That circle moving in is just a clock wall of death, I guess? The more time you have to get ahead of it, sit, and think about your next strategy, plan out your next move, the better off you are. Inventory management leads to time management, which leads to you staying ahead of the circle, giving yourself time to think, and being a quite effective solution all around for making the game easier on yourself, giving you more downtime in between moving from one circle location to the next. Final tip about looting, loot in your preferred style. I know a lot of people that tab right click so that they bend down and pick it up, but here's something you should know. If you tab open and right click, your character will do the animation like they're picking it up. If you click and drag, your character does no animation and it will instantly appear in your inventory. This is the faster method if you get good at it. Now there's a few differences. If you're dragging things like armor, backpacks, anything that you wear, you have to actually drag it onto your character. Weapons too, but drag them over to the slot that you want to put them in. Ammo, meds, anything like that, you can actually just drag straight over to your inventory and it'll hop right on in there. So you can do this fairly quickly because they're both large areas that are pretty easy to hit when you're dragging. Just know what you're dragging and where it goes. And this will skip the looting animation itself, and the stuff will instantly appear on you. Obviously, everyone has a preferred method. Use what method you feel most comfortable with and you can do more accurately, but that's my personal favorite method that I use. Hope this video was helpful to you guys. If so, feel free to hit that like button and sub to the channel for more PUBG content. If you'd like to support the channel, feel free to do so over at patreon.com/3gunsdown, which will be a clickable link on screen for you guys right now. I'm also putting long gameplay content up over on the Patreon, like many of you have asked, to not clutter up this YouTube channel with a ton of videos that not too many of you watch. A simple $1 a month gets you access to that, and it helps support the channel. You can also watch all action live over at twitch.tv/GUNZGAMES, where this weekend we are finishing our first playthrough of Prey, or should I say our first playthrough. That's it from me, guys. Good luck out there. GG.